am Alethea Felton, and welcome to the Power Transformation Podcast. If you're struggling in your life with self-sabotaging and negative thoughts that leave you feeling stuck and limit you from moving forward, I can help you. As a holistic health and empowerment coach, I help people identify, challenge, and conquer those thoughts in order to make simple and practical changes to improve overall wellness. Let's remove those limitations, for the time is now to create your power transformation. Hey, y'all. Welcome back. I am so excited to have you here for another episode of the Power Transformation Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today. And the guest that we have today, oh my, oh my, oh my, she is dropping some gems and nuggets, pearls of wisdom all on us today. And I can't wait for you to hear her story. And thank you, especially if you are new to the Power Transformation Podcast. I am so happy to have you as a part of this community. I'm just excited, y'all. I am so excited because we are already concluding a full month of 2024. Can you believe that? How a full month has practically gone by. The date that this airs is January 31st, 2024, the last day of the month. And February and all subsequent months, I really do think are going to be quite powerful in a good way for me and for you. On the Power Transformation Podcast, we always begin with an affirmation. Oh my, affirmations truly can influence what happens in your life. I know from example, and there's a lot of science behind it also. So yes, I am a true example of it, but there is so much evidence backing it. So I say the affirmation once and then you repeat it. I am creating an extraordinary life. I am so excited that yet again, I have a phenomenal guest here on the Power Transformation Podcast, and that is none other than the Eileen Bild. And I emphasize the Eileen Bild because she is everything from CEO, she's a coach, she helps authors, publishers, musicians, forward thinkers, everybody that you can imagine. She helps people based on her way of inspiring others, her way to help people to see life through a higher perspective in order to thrive while being their authentic self. Eileen, it is such an honor to have you. Hey, Eileen.
Hi, I'm glad that's recorded. I may steal that from you.
Oh, oh my
Thank
goodness.
you for such a
Eileen.
Wonderful introduction.
Of course, Eileen, of course. And we are going to definitely dig deeper into the 3 C's with your focus on core thinking. Audience, don't worry if you don't know what I'm talking about, you will very soon. But more so, I really look forward to just you sharing so much of how you've overcome adversities and challenges in life and still are continually striving to help others as well as reach your own potential. But before we get into any of that, Eileen, I always like to start with just a random question that just helps us to get to know you more as the guest. And Eileen, that question is this. Eileen, what is one of your guilty pleasures?
Oh my gosh, one of my guilty pleasures. I'd have to say it's taking time out to sit by the water and just be in that energy
Wow.
and ground and center and be in the world but not of it.
Oh, that's so calming. I got calm just
It
hearing that.
is.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. I like the water too. Oh, and you all, when I tell you the way me and this beautiful soul met, it was through a mutual acquaintance. But then to find out both of us are from the same hometown area just absolutely thrilled me, from the Hampton Roads Tidewater area of Virginia. That was absolutely beautiful, knowing that, and we had no idea otherwise. But Eileen, let's go ahead and jump deeper into these questions. And the first question that I want to ask you, like I ask all of my guests, and you can take it any way you want to, but who is Eileen Bild?
That's a great question. Deep dive question. I'd have to say she is a deep thinker and spiritual. She's a person who looks through the child's eye perspective at the world, with the ability to see that there's magic that happens every day, and that there's miracles, and life is, she understands that life is what we make it, and that it can be joyful and we can be happy, and she likes to share that with others.
That was such a loaded and beautiful response, because I could take that in so many different directions. And although this is an audio podcast, audience, I want to share with you that the screen saver, not screen saver, but the background that Eileen has says passions, dreams, visions. And a huge part of her platform does have to do with her being the CEO of Ordinary to Extraordinary Life, also known as OTEL, and that is OTELproductions and OTEL Universe. And she and her husband, Trevor, both had this vision. But before we dig into that, those words behind you are so important. And I want to ask you, Eileen, on your life journey, tell me about when you first knew you had this intuitiveness about you, this higher awareness. Tell us a bit about what led you on that journey.
So I'm going to take it back to childhood and explain what happened up to who I am today in very Reader's Digest form. So I was highly intuitive up until age 6, and I believe that I was not understood in my ability to have those 6 senses all wide open. Part of it, I was born with a hearing loss, nerve damage.
Wow.
So I had to adapt to my environment by reading lips, watching body language, seeing what's not shown, hear what's not being said. However, as a child, I think I kind of became wiser than my age. And so it was not necessarily uh, the adults around me didn't quite understand what to do with that.
Mm,
And so I think a part of us, no matter how old we are, young we are, we can discern the people around us, what they accept and what they don't accept. And I believe I didn't feel accepted for who I was naturally authentically being. And so I
mhm.
shut down. And I lived life, went through the natural stages of growing up. And then when I turned 40 is when I had my reawakening, we could say.
Ah,
And that's when the authentic self came back to the surface. And I've been nurturing and guiding that part of me ever since. And it's become more of a spiritual kind of foundation, not religious, but spiritual, in understanding who I am, why I'm here, what my purpose is, a mission, and it always, how things always come back full circle.
they
If you
do.
ignore something or you don't quite, step into wherever you're being guided, it will come full circle. So I started to recognize what kept showing up in my life, and that was the abilities that I have of those six senses, being a good listener, leadership, communication, holding space for people, helping people become the better version of themselves. People open up to me and share their passion, visions, and dreams, and say, "I
Mhm.
want you to help me." So I've taken those signs and all the things that have come along the way since I turned 40, and recognize um, the purpose that I have in life as my authentic self.
Eileen, some might hear and go back to the hearing loss and say, okay, but that had to been tough. That had been really, really difficult for you. What was it inside of you, even at that young age, although maybe you couldn't put words exactly to what it was you were sensing or feeling, or what it was leading you to this higher awareness? But what was it that kept you, even at a young age, prior to even 40, saying, I'm not going to let this be a crutch for me or something that will hold me back? How did you
You
get
know,
through that?
yeah, it's interesting because that I don't think that thought has ever crossed my mind. I've never
Oh.
seen my hearing loss as a handicap, and if
Mhm.
anything, it's been an asset. And I think I will say, when I was younger, I did try. I've worn hearing aids my whole life, so I did try to hide it. And I had people in high
Oh.
school who didn't know I had hearing loss until some conversations, like the week before we were graduating from high school, and someone was trying to talk to me, and they said, "Eileen, I'm talking to you." They were behind me. And I don't, I hear noise, but I don't discern unless someone's in front of me. And so finally I turned around and they said, "What, are you deaf?" And I said, "Yeah, I actually am." And so, I think my parents didn't, I have to give them some credit in that they didn't see it as a hindrance, other than they didn't think I'd ever be able to get attached to music, which is really ironic because a lot of what my husband and I do is surrounded, is within the music community. We
Mhm,
do live video production. We have
mhm,
a Roku music channel. We deal with music, and I actually have a very good ear for video production because I can follow on a deeper level the musician when they're on the stage
mhm.
and when a good shot is about to happen. So I'm ahead of it. So my whole life has never been, I'm deaf and therefore I have to use that as a crutch. Instead, I've always looked at what can I do to succeed with who I am.
And that also has a lot to do with your mindset as well, about keeping your mindset in a certain way so that you don't see it as a limitation, but you can see it really as a huge asset and as an ability. And I know in the same vein with me, that's been a huge part of my journey. And I know that we talked about that offline when we first got to know each other, about how what others might see as something that's going to hinder you can actually be that very thing that catapults you. So, take us a bit more into that. What are some of the assets or the strengths that you've had over the years, Eileen, that has helped you get through challenges, obstacles, trials? Tell us about that.
I think I have a warrior spirit within me who
Mm,
will fight the good fight to um, not succumb or give in to life's trials and tribulations.
mm.
And I've had friends over the years say, "You're like the strongest person I know. You just pick yourself right up, dust yourself off, and move on." And I do. I guess I've always had a underlying foundational perspective of uh, the world's not against me,
Mhm.
even though there's trials and tribulations and things that come up. And some of the health challenges I've had over the years, I did ask, why me? But I didn't like attach to that, and I didn't attach to the uh, condition. Instead, I'm a solution finding kind of person. So I always look at, okay, I'm stuck with this, but I don't have to be stuck with it forever.
Mm.
Just for now, what do I need to do to get out of it and to, in the case of the health challenges, to be healthier? And that mindset, I'm here now, but I want to be here in another place. What do I need to do to get there? And I think because I've always had that mindset, I've always been able to rise above any circumstance that might try to pull me down.
So, speak more about the health challenges. If I recall correctly, you lived with a battle of fibromyalgia, correct? Didn't you
Yes.
have that once? Yes. Okay. Can you tell us about that? Because I know already I have some listeners who live with that condition. Of course, these are people I know personally who I know listen to the podcast and whatnot. But what I love about your story is that you speak of your health challenges in past tense. And I know that that's intentional and there's a reason for it. N- Um, as much or as little as you want to share, take us on that journey with the health challenges. And the reason I ask that is because all of this helps lead to even where you are now and what you do in order to help others. So take us on that journey in terms of the health challenges, what you experienced through that, what you went through, and how you overcame it.
Oh, absolutely. And I love to share this because it can inspire and give hope to people who might have any kind of health challenge that
Mhm.
they've been told they can't overcome. And I am of the belief that anything is possible and mind over matter. The body knows best. And the awakening I talked about earlier came about because of my self healing from the fibromyalgia. So I was
Wow.
in my early 30s when I started to have this onset of uh, pretty debilitating symptoms to where I had three children at the time, maybe all four, but I was rolling out of bed and barely making it through the day,
Mm.
sleeping a lot of pain and insomnia. I mean, you name it. I had all the symptoms that's listed under fibromyalgia, and that was when it first came out in the medical community um, when it was being addressed and putting a name to all the symptoms. So it was way back years ago. So I had a really good female doctor, and she said, I think this might be what you have because what
Wow.
she was treating me with from a pharmaceutical perspective was not working. And I was just getting worse. And so I made a declaration one night. I was at my parents' beach house in the Outer Banks.
Hmm.
And after another day of crying from all the just frustration and pain and not feeling like myself, I threw my fist in the air and I made a declaration to whoever the power that be is out there. And I
Hmm.
said, take me or heal me because I just can't go on anymore. I'm not going to do this anymore. And that did something because that
Wow.
following week, a door opened and all of a sudden I started to learn about alternative healing and people and information started showing up that led me to my master's in transpersonal psychology. I became a Reiki master teacher. I don't teach anymore, but I got involved in understanding there's other ways to look at and work with our health. And so I had suffered from the fibromyalgia symptoms for about 7, 8 years. And when
Wow.
that awakening happened, I healed in 3 weeks.
3 weeks,
3
Eileen.
weeks. No, wait a second. Wait a second. I'm sorry. 3 months. 3
3
months.
months, okay. 3 months, okay.
I wish it
Because
was 3
even
weeks.
I
3
look,
months.
girl, I was
Well,
about to
something must have
say,
happened in 3 weeks. Okay. So the 3 weeks was like the turning point. We'll say that. But in 3 months, I
yeah,
healed myself. And what I did was I and you probably can't appreciate this. it's like a part of something took over and just kind of guided me. And I felt the desire to like hire my own practitioner team.
Uh-huh.
And so I went the alternative route and I worked with a chiropractor who did kinesiology. I worked with a
Mhm.
nutritionist. I did exercise with a purpose. Everything had its reason and its purpose in the protocol. And quickly, I would say slowly but surely, but quickly, um, I was able to wean myself off all the prescriptions to the point that the last two, which were the ones I took at night, my hand literally stopped midair when my body was telling me, you don't need this anymore. And that was the day that I weaned myself totally off all prescriptions. And I had gotten myself back. I was back to myself, but on a road and path now to um, getting back to my authentic self that I had lost. And I have friends who, even up to today, will say, I remember when you looked 100 years old and when you healed from that fibromyalgia, you were a shining light. My whole demeanor, my look, my presence, everything changed from inside out.
Mm.
And it was very noticeable.
And Eileen, all of that. Wow. So look, I was gonna say, if you healed yourself in 3 weeks, honey, you should be on every single major platform globally and be a billionaire by now. But
Right.
but
That was a Freudian slip. So it should
yeah,
have been
yeah,
three.
no.
It's 3 months,
It's
three
yeah,
months.
it's totally okay because even 3 months is key. And I can speak from experience in that it's so interesting because even with me as a holistic wellness coach and life coach and things of that nature, sometimes stressful moments in my life caused me to get a bit off track and I got to get back on that train track towards the goal. And so tomorrow I'm being very intentional about getting certain groceries because not every meal, but I have been eating the certain things that I'm not supposed to and things like that. Yeah, it's shame, shame, shame on me. But the body knows and I still feel okay, but I've just been a bit more tired and I'm like, can't. So I got to get back on track myself. However, I share that as a segue into this next question is it had to take a mental determination for me first in my mindset to say, I'm going to be disciplined enough to do what I need to do in order to be who I'm supposed to be. Talk about the power of our thoughts, the power of the mind to really transform our life because I am a witness, you are too, that that is very powerful and it works. And yes, sometimes we kind of slide off of the wagon. I haven't fallen completely off, no.
That's good.
But there are times when I know I'm not supposed to eat that cookie and I still choose to go ahead and eat it, right? And I'm like, no,
Right.
but even outside of the food aspect, talk about the power of the mental food in our mind. How does that connect with our transformations in life?
Oh, it's 100% connects, and I'm going to add the power of our inner compass. So we have the power of our thoughts, we have the power of our actions, and the power of our inner compass. And the inner compass is that part of us that's knocking on our door constantly, whether it's messages, signs, symbols. You know, we've lost the ability to teach our children to be discerning and
Mm,
to listen and to critically think, have critical thinking.
mm,
And so most people as children and adults walk through life like zombies, just oblivious to um, what is going on within themselves
wow.
that is manifesting externally. So one of the things that I did during my healing process was, and this is the power of when you make a declaration like I do, the universe answers.
Mhm.
So a friend of mine I hadn't seen in 4 or 5 years, all of a sudden out of the blue, contacts me, and he was training to be a coach, and asked me if I wanted to be one of his students for his practicals for his certification. And it was perfect timing because I was in the middle of putting together my team to help me heal. And I said, absolutely. So in that coaching, we did a life purpose statement, and
Mm.
we kind of did that deep dive. And my background was marketing and advertising. So I thought, sure, this is easy. So we had a couple of sessions of, doing some deep dives on who you are and who are you and what do you like, and, the kinds of things to set the mind up for that power statement of what's your purpose in life. And I thought, that's easy, marketing advertising. That's what I've always done. And, that's my path. Well, when the time came to write that statement, I must have zoned out, and automatic writing came in. And I wrote, but I didn't see what I wrote because it was different than what I saw
Mm.
with my visible eyes, right?
Mhm.
And when I finished and I picked up the paper, I was shocked because it said, "You are guiding light to show people the way." And that kind of
Wow.
perspective has never been in my life up to that point. I was a stay-at-home mom, working part-time jobs, raising kids, the typical life of that kind of environment. And so I wasn't into spirituality. I wasn't into, and I never studied it. So, when that happened, it was an eye-opener for me, and a door that opened to help me understand there's more to life than what we are conditioned to believe, what we're shown, whatever uh, we are brought into in the traditional growing up and
Mm.
becoming an adult. And so I had to play catch up. So
Mhm.
once that awareness came to my existence, it was like a kid in a candy store.
Mm.
I absorbed, and all I wanted to do was learn what I had been missing from age 6 to that age 40. So all those years, was it 34 years that
Mhm.
I had to make up for? And a lot happened in that space of time.
Wow. That is really a beautiful awakening, so to speak, of where it led you to. And in thinking about you and your husband's company endeavors of OTEL Productions and OTEL Universe, ordinary to extraordinary life. That's what the acronym is. Part of your focus with all of this and your connections and things is that whole concept of core thinking. And you have the 3 C's of confidence, courage, and clarity. It's a two-part question. How did your husband and you always align on these concepts, and how in the world did that happen? What I'm trying to ask is, it's just beautiful to me that you and Trevor both do this work in some form to really help change people's lives. So the question is, when you all became a couple, were you already in alignment with certain ideas, or did they kind of evolve over time?
That's a great question. So I'll answer it this way. Trevor and I came together. I like to say the universe co-conspired our union.
Uh-huh.
And people, when they meet us, they see something like we're one person, one heart, one
Ooh,
energy.
wow.
And we're synchronistic with each other. And over the years that we have been together, we have grown both personally and as a couple, and it continues and it will continue to our last breath.
Hmm.
But that's because the kind of people that we are. We're both heart centered, we're both giving. He's got the male, masculine strength, I've got the female, feminine grace. So we've helped each other with the other part that we don't naturally carry. So he always had this sword by his side. So I had to teach him grace, and I've always been graceful, and he's had to teach me strength. And
Mm.
so some of the things that has kind of evolved within our being together is that balance within ourselves that then brings that strength within the relationship, which then brings the capability and ability for us to have the business that we do, helping others to find that within themselves to achieve the success that they want.
Okay, that makes complete sense. And so now the next question is, I will be honest that I don't know which one to ask first. I want you to talk about OTEL as a whole, OTEL Productions, OTEL Universe, but then I want you to talk about your core thinking principles. I don't know if core thinking came first or if hotel came first. Is like chicken or the egg. Which one came first?
Right,
But we
right.
know that
Okay.
they are connected. So that's what I want you to do is kind of now share about this thing about ordinary to extraordinary life and also core thinking and the three C's. How did hotel come into being? How did the three C's come into being? And how do these work collectively together to help lives?
That's a great, great question. And what I've shared so far ties into
Mhm.
the the entity because it's got an energy in and of itself that came out of all the experiences that I just shared, and more that I haven't talked about. But there's a future talk shows that we'll do
Yes.
future conversations. But
Yes.
um, Ordinary to Extraordinary Life was became an LLC in 2014. The same year, the Core Thinking Blueprint method came through me, and I had an aha just a few years ago why that Core Thinking Blueprint and the Core Thinking Blueprint method showed up, and that is it was a culmination of all my life experience up to that
Oh.
point, the knowledge and wisdom I've gained.
Mhm.
And there's an unseen guiding hand that's like, it's time to put it out there. So it was a nudge that wouldn't go away. So finally I surrendered and I allowed the information to come through. And the core thinking blueprint method came into existence. Within the core thinking blueprint method, there are the three C's, which is confidence, courage, and clarity. So part of that became my ebook, the five Embrace the Five Principles of Core Thinking for Success. And what those principles are is building self-confidence, transforming fear into action, which is the courage, coming to clarity. Because if you don't have clarity, you're gonna have the busy mind and you're gonna make decisions that may not necessarily be for your best interest, and you may
Yes.
find yourself repeating the same mistakes or repeating the same action that doesn't get you where you want to go.
Mhm.
uh, Number four is setting clear boundaries. A lot of adults do not have clear boundaries, and so there's a lot of things that happen as a result of that
Hold on.
that
Wait a minute. A lot of adults don't have what, Eileen?
oh, clear boundaries.
Wait a minute. Y'all heard her. That's a, Eileen. Say it one more time. A lot of
Okay,
adults don't have.
clear boundaries.
Okay. Con- Continue. I want that to stick with some people, but you may
Okay,
continue.
okay. And then the last one, which is so key in order to develop those boundaries, the confidence, the courage, and the clarity, which is to I introduce a concept of communication, which is watch, wait, listen and discern, and then take action. So we're quick to judge, we're quick to assume, we're quick to react. And so what I teach is the concept of discernment by becoming the observer of yourself in life and listening more, speaking less, and respond versus react. And within all of that, you're going to be doing a lot of self healing because the lack of confidence, the lack of courage, and the lack of clarity usually goes back to something in our past, whether it's from childhood or adulthood, that
Yes.
we're holding on to. So then it holds us back because we've got jealousy, we've got anger, frustration, unfairness, all these emotions attached. And on top of that, and I need to write a book about this, the autonomy stage of growing up is never fully developed by most humans. And so as adults, we're constantly looking to be heard, valued, and understood. And when we don't feel heard, valued, and understood, um, everything seems like it's against us. So these five principles help to kind of dissolve and strengthen that part of us that never fully developed, to have what I call that strength with grace, to be able to walk this earth as our authentic self with uh it's got to be for the purpose of give but take as well, to replenish the self. And it's not to be right, it's not to be the winner, it's not to put somebody else down. It's really for the individual to feel like their life is worth whatever they determine their purpose is, and
Hmm.
everybody is worthy, right? But there's so many levels and layers to getting to that place of being grounded, centered, and feeling like you belong. And I bet the listeners, most listeners, on some level, don't feel like they belong,
Mm.
but we all do belong.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think at some point, a lot of people, even those of us who do feel like we belong, I think life can hit hard sometimes that can get you to a place of where you don't feel that you belong. But once you find that power within yourself to really know that yes, I do belong, and to know that there's a reason for you being here and that you have every right to be here, I think that makes a difference. And so thank you for that very clear explanation of the core thinking principle model. Tell me about OTEL Productions more specifically, because I know that is the hubbub of just everything. Kind of tell us what that company is all about.
Right. So OTELproductions is the like the DBA of the OTEL Universe. So OTEL Universe came about when everything shut down in 2020, and we had to kind of up level ourselves. So we took our video production and we got into producing Roku channels as an independent developers. So
Okay.
we took music, the videos we have produced, and then offered other people for their music videos to send to us to upload to our music channel.
Hmm.
We started out with a variety channel called Knob TV, and Knob stands for Knowledge, Notice, Observe, Become. So OTEL Universe, a universal voice, a platform to provide an opportunity for people to share their passion, visions, and dreams to be heard and seen worldwide.
Mm.
So, yes,
And in terms of the people that you work with directly within OTELproductions and OTEL Universe, do they seek you out? Do you find them? Is it a combination of both?
it's a combination. We like to work with the creatives. The
Mhm.
creatives are, to me, the glue that holds the world together.
Mhm.
Because without music, without the written word, without poetry, we need that creative part. As children, we are inquisitive, and we are, we look through a kaleidoscope of the wonder. You're wondering what's in the world, and as creatives, we never lose that wonder and that spark that helps others to remember that we're here to enjoy our life experience.
Mhm.
So we like to work with writers and artists and musicians and anybody that um, appeals to that part of us that has forgotten how to live, right? How to love,
Mm.
how to enjoy and
Mhm.
happiness.
Can you give us an example without, of course, calling the person's name and ranking confidentiality, but could you share a success story, so to speak, of someone who's worked with you or through your company where they might have come to you one way, desiring to step into their full potential, not quite knowing how, and where they ended up now? Could you just tell us a bit about someone or some people that come to mind and just tell us briefly about how that transformation happened?
Right. So what's coming to mind is two things. I do have one person that I've been working with for over 10 years, so I'll share
Wow.
that. I'll share that experience. But I also want to say a lot of what we do is it's like we spark something within people
Uh-huh.
that then they take
Yes.
and they grow and they evolve. And that's the job we've done. So we
Mhm.
have a lot of stepping stone successes, right?
Mhm.
So, but there is one person who was very angry at the world and a little confused and just not in a good grounded centered space. And I have coached, mentored, been a friend for over 10 years with this person to where we've almost talked weekly. There's some times that we haven't, but this person has um, crushed the ego in order to um, like had the breakdown in order to have his breakthrough,
Mhm.
in order to discover that part of himself that is okay to be the creative in the world, one of the creatives, even though the environment that he grew up in doesn't understand that um, kind of track or kind of path that someone would take.
Mhm.
And so coming to terms with being okay to be that person, um, he has grown tremendously. He's worked with the core thinking principles. He's worked with the core thinking blueprint program. And it has um, really impacted him on so many levels
Mhm.
to where he has strength that he didn't have before. Um, the awareness is much greater, communication is much better, and the art form has taken on kind of like a life of its own.
Mhm. Oh gosh, that is wonderful. And the fact that you've had the opportunity to see that evolution, I'm sure is encouraging, inspirational. It keeps you going to do this work. And so what actually inspires you to not what necessarily inspires you personally, but what inspires you to continue to do this work. Because entrepreneurship is hard, but yet it's so fun and fulfilling too. It's like a
It
surge of
is.
energy you get despite sometimes the exhaustion, but it is so fun. What inspires you, Eileen, to keep the work going?
You know, there's times where I think, I'm just going to sit back for a little bit and just do some other things that I enjoy. And whenever I do that, someone always pops up and says, thank you. Thank you for what you wrote. It made a difference in my life. Or thank you for what you shared, or,
Mm,
whatever you did for me. And it's a reminder that I am here for a purpose, that shining light, um, to be there for people to find their way in whatever capacity and whatever way that means. So I'm inspired by those who um, let me know that I am making a difference in their life, and that they're taking what they receive from me and they're running with it, right? And doing what they can on their own to become that version of themselves
mhm.
that is stronger and wiser and sees the world in the beauty that it really is.
What would you say, Eileen, to a person that may be listening, whether on their own or this link was passed on to them, who says, this this interview sounds pretty okay, but I've had so many challenges, I've had so many obstacles. I don't have gifts, I don't have talents. I don't have anything special to offer or to share. This is just life. I take it day by day. Life is tough. There's no way I could reach potential of where I'm supposed to be at this point in my life. What would you say to that person?
That's a lie.
Mm,
um, that it's self-talk that is holding them back.
mhm,
And if they took every one of those points that you just made and replace it with a positive statement, and then work towards fulfilling those positive statements, their life would be different.
mhm. Wow. Eileen, is your life now what you imagined it could have been, or has it exceeded your expectations?
It's a combination of both.
Mm,
And I see more potential. So exceeded expectation, and things have shown up that I didn't go after but came to me.
mhm.
And just this morning, uh, I was asked to participate in something that I wasn't expecting, and
Wow.
it's a high honor, right? It's
Oh,
for something
congratulations.
related. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's something related to leadership and writing, and so I was like, "Oh, this is nice." So, you know, um, when you're walking your path and you're grounded and centered, what is seeking you and you are seeking
Mhm.
come together.
Mhm.
And it doesn't take energy and effort,
Oh my
right?
gosh. You're yes, I totally understand that.
And when you can be in that flow, then what you mentioned about the person that would say, "Well, I've had a tough life and it's not fair, and I've tried this and that and da da da." Um, if they would just shift the perspective, the
Mhm.
perception, the thinking, the verbiage, um, the what comes to you changes. And I have some people say, "Well, why do I have to change? Why me? The other person needs to." Well, not really, because you're the one that's coming into the experience.
Mhm.
So what is your part in that? And even if you're having internal thoughts, it is felt externally. So that's why, going back to what you said earlier, thoughts being very powerful,
Mhm.
whether they're written, spoken, or just going over in your mind, it's all energy. It's all gets out into the world one way, shape, or form.
Mhm.
So the key to walking one's path is to have that to check that foundation of what you're standing on as who you are authentically with that confidence, courage, clarity,
Mm.
boundaries, and how are you showing up in the world? And are you showing up as a victim or are you showing up as that warrior spirit who um, can overcome and create from that space of authenticity?
Wow. In all of this work that you do in terms of helping others, making sure that others really kind of get that spark and then they take it and they run with it. You're a wife and you're a mom. You have 4 children. And my question to you is, have you even seen any of the energy that you exude and even the legacy that you're leaving? Have you even seen some of the vision manifested within your own children?
Well, I'll say a couple of my children think I'm weird. The other two understand who I am. Although the ones who think I'm weird, I think they've accepted me. But you know, I um, I'm very fortunate that I have 4 children who have a mind of their own. And when I was raising them, I saw them each as individuals. I didn't
Mhm,
compare them to each other. I saw them for who they were as
mhm,
themselves. And so I guided them based on who I knew who they were
mhm,
and who I could discern on what they were presenting to me as they grew up of what would help them to thrive and
mhm.
what would allow them to be authentically themselves. And so uh, there's one child who definitely has the mindset that I have as
Oh,
far as the unseen connection, kind of
mm,
understands um, more readily, the power of intention and power of thought. Um, I think my other children do too, but they're living life
that's right.
walking the life path, right?
Mhm.
So I don't judge any of them. I love them all dearly, and they're their individual selves,
That's
and
right.
what they choose in life is hopefully going to be for their highest good and for their benefit. And
Mhm.
the same for my one son who has 2 children, so my grandchildren.
Oh, how
And
beautiful.
I think,
Yeah.
yeah, and he's raising them in a very healthy way. So
Yes.
I'm very fortunate to have awesome children and grandchildren.
That is beautiful, and I'm happy for you. I don't have children of my own, but I do have very supportive parents, and it does make a difference when you have a parent or parents, in my case, both, who believe in your abilities, believe in your dreams, let you live the life you're intended to live. That's what I've loved about my parents. They never made my sister, they never made me conform to what they wanted me to be. Of course, they want us to have good lives, but they've never forced what they think our lives should be. They always allowed us to follow our own paths and our own dreams and our own goals as long as it was for helping others and it wasn't harming or hurting anyone. And so even what you do in spreading love and light, I truly appreciate. And I want to give this last statement prior to me giving you the chance to kind of share anything else you would like to, including how people can contact you. But audience, I have to say, I met Eileen through a mutual friend, and the first time I met Eileen, one thing that I can say about her, it was our first kind of meet and greet Zoom. And the way she closed it was she let it be known you have a new friend now. Anytime you want to talk, you can reach out to me, call me, text me, anything. If you want to just talk and vent and get stuff off your chest, you may. But when I tell you that this woman had such a warm, welcoming, loving spirit, and it was from a place of sincerity, of nothing in return, and for her to even offer me to give her the name of my podcast to put on her platform so that people could see, it was a true, authentic purity about her, where she had just met me and she said, I see you. I can sense your light and your love, things of that nature. Y'all, there are still wonderful people in the world. And don't let people fool you into thinking that everybody and everything's terrible, because that's not true. And even the person who connected Eileen and I together, he was just a guest on my podcast, Dr. Keith McNally. He introduced me to Eileen as well as a number of people that I have lost count of, and that they've all been genuinely sincere people. So, Eileen, I just thank you for being one of the kindest, caring, and compassionate souls I have ever met. And in this brief few months that we've known each other, just the way that your presence has been so profound in my life already. It seems like I've known you for many years. And it's so interesting, even when you say that when you're walking on the path you're supposed to, how things align. And that has been what's been happening to me. So it's an honor having you on the podcast today. And tell us what's next for you, anything that you like to share. I know sometimes those of us in this space won't share things prematurely, but we might talk about things presently going on. And also, how can the audience connect with you if someone wants to learn more about you and the work you do? How can people do that?
Okay, thank you. Wow, I appreciate that ending comment, and I did mean all of that, and your heart is just as blessed and um, integrity and just loving, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate you.
Thank you.
So, one of the things on my agenda for 2024 is to get back to my teaching. So, I do have a class and workshop section on my website, so people can check that for any upcoming online classes and workshops. Um, the main website is www.oteluniverse.com, OTEL universe.com. I do have a Core Thinking Blueprint website, which is www.corethinkingblueprint.com. You can find me on LinkedIn, Eileen Bild, and Facebook, Eileen Bild, Instagram, Eileen.Bild. Uh, I have a couple of emails you can also use to reach out, info@OTELproductions.com or info@eileenbild.com. And just, you know, the things coming up for the year is growth for our Roku channels, OTEL music videos. We welcome submission for YouTube MP4s, all genres, all over the world. And Knob TV is our variety channel. And then we have the OTEL Universe Roku channel as well. So there's a lot happening, a lot going on. If you go to the website, follow me on the Facebook page and LinkedIn, you'll see all the great things. And I do a lot of collaborations with writers and authors and getting into productions for documentaries and producers. So, I have a large network.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone needs to be connected with someone in the entertainment and art field, reach out, and I might know someone or know someone who knows someone.
Yes.
But
Yes.
I do love that you and I are from the same area, and it's
Mhm.
a small world, and I
It
love that.
really is. It really
Yes.
is a small world. I mean, if people only knew just how Y'all, I'm telling you, when your mindset shifts and when you really focus on walking the path you're supposed to, things come together and it will absolutely blow your mind how amazing life is. And I am so grateful for you, Eileen. It has been such an honor having you on the podcast today. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. And it has been an honor for myself. And I look forward to further conversations.
Of course. Please, whatever you do, share this episode with as many people as you know and follow up with Eileen. Learn more about OTELproductions OTEL Universe, and just look more into the amazing and extraordinary work that Eileen and also her husband Trevor are doing to make the world better and to bring out the best success and talent in so many people. Join us again for the Power Transformation Podcast. And yes, I said us. I know I am the host, but join us, meaning the entire community, for yet another episode of the Power Transformation Podcast every Wednesday. And I'm going to say our closing affirmation. I'll say it once and you repeat it. I am creating an extraordinary life. If you enjoyed today's show, then you don't want to miss an episode. So follow the Power Transformation Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you usually listen, and remember to rate and review. I also invite you to connect with me on social media at Alethea Felton. That's at ALETHEAFELTON. Until next time, remember to be good to yourself and to others.